Alexander Grant stood at the large window of the space station. He looked at the blue and green planet below. Earth seemed so small from up here, yet humans had come so far in just a few hundred years. "It's time," said Olivia Carter. She adjusted, her navy blue uniform. The silver pin of Earth shone on her chest. Alexander nodded. His face was calm, but his eyes showed his anger. "Let's go tell them." They walked down the long hall toward the council chamber. The walls were made of a clear material that showed the stars outside. Beings from 27 different worlds moved around them. Some had scales, others had tentacles or wings. None of them paid much attention to the two humans. "They still don't believe we'll do it," Olivia whispered. "They'll learn today," Alexander replied. The council chamber was huge. It could hold thousands of beings. In the center was a round platform where speakers stood. Around it, in rising circles, sat the representatives of all member species. The humans had seats near the back, far from the important members. The head counselor, a tall Viridian with purple skin, looked down at them. "The council recognizes Earth's representatives," he said in a bored voice. Alexander and Olivia walked to the center platform. The room went quiet. Everyone knew why the humans were here today. "For 176 years, Alexander began, humanity has been part of this council. We have shared our ideas. We have fought in your wars. We have healed your sick. We have fixed your ships and stations." He paused and looked around. Some council members shifted in their seats. "In return, you have taken our best technology. You have kept us from joining important committees. You have made deals that hurt our colonies. And now, you demand we give you our newest invention, the quantum fold drive, without payment or credit." The head counselor waved his hand. "This matter has been decided. The quantum fold drive is too important to be controlled by one species, especially—" He didn't finish, but everyone knew what he meant, especially humans. Olivia stepped forward. "We are not here to argue. We are here to inform the council that as of today, Earth and all human colonies are withdrawing from the Galactic Council." Wave of noise filled the room. Some laughed, some shouted. The head counselor banged his staff for quiet. "This is not allowed," he said. "The council charter states—" "We have studied the charter," Alexander cut in. "Section 12, paragraph 8 allows withdrawal with proper notice. This is our notice." "This is foolish," said a Krell representative, his scales flashing red with anger. "Humans cannot survive alone in the galaxy." Olivia smiled slightly. "We managed quite well before we met you. We will manage again." The head counselor leaned forward. "If you leave, you lose all protection. The trade routes, the defense fleets, the medical aid. Think carefully about what you are doing." "We have thought about it for years," Alexander replied. "Every time you voted against us, every time you took our work without thanks, every time you called us primitive behind our backs and sometimes to our faces." He pulled out a small device and pressed it. A large document appeared in the air above them. "Our formal withdrawal, already signed by President Murphy and the Earth government." The council erupted in shouts. The Etheri ambassador, a bird-like being, flapped her wings in distress. "You cannot leave. Who will maintain the rim beacons? Who will update the translation systems?" "You should have thought of that before," Olivia said calmly. "Perhaps we were more valuable than you realized." The head counselor stood, his purple face now dark with rage. "This is nothing but a childish attempt to get attention. You will regret this decision when your colonies are attacked and you have no help." Alexander looked him directly in the eyes. "We regret that it came to this. But the decision is made. As of this moment, humanity stands alone." He and Olivia turned and walked toward the exit. Behind them, the noise grew louder. "They'll come crawling back in a month," someone shouted. "Let them go. We don't need them," said another. Alexander and Olivia didn't look back. They walked through the doors and down the hall to the docking bay. A ship waited for them, the Earth diplomatic vessel, Northern Star. Its captain, Susan Miller, met them at the entrance. "How did they take it?" she asked. Exactly as expected, Olivia replied. They think we're bluffing. Captain Miller smiled. Admiral Harrison is waiting at the jump point with the fleet. All human diplomats have been recalled from Council worlds. The evacuation of our citizens has already begun. Alexander looked out at the stars once more. Send the signal to Earth. Tell them it's done. The ship pulled away from the station. As they moved farther from the Council headquarters, they saw other human ships doing the same all across the system. Some carried diplomats. Others carried scientists and engineers who had been working on Council projects. All were heading home. On the main screen, a message appeared from President Eleanor Murphy. Her face was serious but determined. The Council has left us no choice, she said. For too long, we have been treated as lesser beings despite all we have contributed. Today we take back our independence. Today we show the galaxy that humanity will forge its own path among the stars. Captain Miller set course for the jump point where the Earth fleet waited. Once there, they would activate the quantum fold drive, the very technology the Council had tried to take. It would carry them home in minutes instead of weeks. Do you think they'll realize what they've lost? Olivia asked quietly. Alexander watched as the Council station grew smaller behind them. They will, he said. But by then, it will be too late. The Northern Star joined hundreds of other human ships at the jump point. Admiral Harrison's flagship, the mighty Liberty, led the formation. In perfect sync, they activated their drives. Space folded around them, and in a flash of light the entire human fleet vanished. In the Council chamber, alarms began to sound as monitoring systems reported the mass departure. The head counselor rushed to the command center where technicians worked frantically at their stations. What's happening? He demanded. They're all gone, a technician replied in disbelief. Every human ship, every human citizen. They've left Council space. Impossible, they couldn't evacuate so quickly. The technician looked up, fear in his eyes. They used the quantum fold drive. All of them had it. They've been planning this for months. The head counselor stared at the screen showing empty space where the human fleet had been moments before. For the first time, doubt showed on his face. They'll be back, he said, but his voice lacked conviction. They need us. What he didn't say, what he was only now beginning to realize, was that perhaps the Council needed humanity more than humanity needed the Council. And the galaxy would soon find out just how much. 6 months passed since humanity left the Galactic Council. At first, many Council species celebrated. The Etheri moved quickly to claim trading posts that humans had left behind. The Krell sent ships into areas that human patrols once protected. For a short time, it seemed like the galaxy was better without humans. Daryl Morris sat at his desk in the Council security office. He was one of the few humans who chose to stay. His job was to track possible threats to Council space. Today, like most days lately, his screen was filled with problems. Another beacon failure, he said to himself, marking it on his map. The early warning system along the edge of the galaxy was breaking down. Without human engineers to update the software, more beacons stopped working each week. His door slid open. A Viridian officer named Zex entered. His purple skin looked dull with stress. Morris, we have more issues with the translation system. Half the diplomats can't understand each other in today's meeting. Daryl nodded tiredly. The automatic updates stopped when the human tech team left. The system can't adapt to new language patterns on its own. Can you fix it? Zex asked. I'm a security officer, not a programmer. Daryl pointed to his screen. And I have bigger problems. 20% of our warning beacons are now offline. Zex's eyes widened. That leaves us blind to anything coming from the outer rim. I've been saying that for months. No one listened. Far away beyond Council space, Earth and its colonies were changing. The newly formed Independent Human Systems Alliance was growing stronger each day. Director Catherine Powell walked through the halls of the Alliance headquarters on Mars. Large windows showed the busy city outside. New buildings rose up everywhere. She entered the meeting room where her team waited. Show me our progress, she said. A man named Peter Kelly stood up. All colonies now have quantum fold drive technology. Our ships can move between any human worlds in minutes instead of weeks. Good, said Catherine. And the barrier? A woman with dark hair, Dr. Julia Wright, touched a screen. A map appeared showing a glowing line around all human territory. The energy barrier is complete. No council ships can enter our space without permission. Has anyone tried? Catherine asked. A Viridian diplomatic vessel approached last week, Julia said. They sent messages asking to talk. As ordered, we did not respond. Catherine nodded. The council ignored us for nearly 2 centuries. Let them see how it feels. Some council species are already having problems, Peter added. They depended on human medicine, human technology, and human maintenance more than they realized. That's not our concern anymore, Catherine said firmly. Our people come first now. On the council station, an emergency meeting was called. Representatives from all member species gathered in the Great Chamber. The mood was very different from 6 months ago. No one was laughing now. The head counselor stood to speak. The situation grows worse. Our supply lines are breaking down. The trading network that connected our worlds for centuries is failing. An Aetheri representative flapped, her wings in agitation. We cannot maintain the old human trade routes. Their navigation systems were far better than ours. 3 of our merchant ships have been lost in the past month alone. A Krell general hissed in anger. The humans planned this. They made us dependent on their technology, then abandoned us. They did not abandon us, the head counselor said sharply. We drove them away, and now we must deal with the consequences. We should force them to return, the Krell suggested. A military action? With what fleet? Asked another member. Half our warships used human weapon systems that we cannot properly maintain. And need I remind you that humans control the quantum fold drive? They could be anywhere in our space before we even knew they were coming. Silence fell over the room as they considered this unpleasant truth. We must open talks with them, the head counselor decided. Offer them new terms, better terms. A ship was prepared. The finest Viridian diplomats were sent to human space. Their mission was simple: convince humanity to return to the council no matter what it took. The diplomatic vessel approached the edge of what was once human territory. The captain was surprised to see a strange glow ahead. What is that? He asked. His science officer studied the readings. Some kind of energy field. It surrounds all of human space. Can we pass through it? Unknown. It's like nothing I've seen before. The captain made his decision. Send our message. Tell them we come to talk peace. They broadcast their message on all frequencies. They waited. Hours passed. No response. Came. Move closer, the captain ordered. Perhaps they cannot hear us from this distance. The ship moved forward until it touched the energy barrier. Alarm sounded as the ship's systems began to fail. Pull back, the captain shouted. They retreated, to a safe distance. Their message continued to broadcast. Still, there was no answer. They're ignoring us, the science officer said in disbelief. No, the captain replied quietly. They're showing us that they don't need us anymore. The ship returned to council, space with its disturbing news. Humanity had not just left, they had sealed themselves off completely. The species that had once been seen as the helpful servants of the greater galactic community had become mysterious and unreachable. Meanwhile, Catherine Powell stood in a secret facility deep under the Martian surface. Before her was humanity's newest achievement. Scientists in white coats worked around a machine that bent light in impossible ways. Is it ready? She asked. Dr. Julia Wright nodded. The dimensional slip drive works perfectly in tests. It doesn't just fold space like the quantum drive. It moves between dimensions. With this, we can explore places no species has ever seen. And no one can follow us, Catherine added with satisfaction. No one in the council has the science to even understand how it works, Julia agreed. Catherine thought of the council, now struggling without human help. Part of her felt sorry for them. But they had made their choice long ago when they decided humans were lesser beings. Prepare for the first official test, she ordered. It's time to show our people what we can achieve on our own. As she left, The facility, she passed a communication officer who looked troubled. "Is something wrong?" Catherine asked. "Maybe not wrong, but strange. We've detected unusual activity at the edge of Council space. Ships moving in patterns we haven't seen before." "Council ships?" "No. Unknown design. They're coming from beyond the rim." Catherine frowned. The warning beacons would normally detect such things, but the beacons were failing without human maintenance. "Keep watching them," she said. "But remember our policy. The Council's problems are no longer ours." She walked away, unaware that the first signs of a greater threat were appearing. The galaxy was changing in ways that neither humans nor the Council had predicted, and soon everyone would feel the effects. 2 years passed since humanity left the Council. The problems that started as small cracks had grown into deep breaks. Today, the Council faced its biggest crisis yet. Emergency alarms rang through the Council station. Representatives rushed to the main chamber. The head councilor's face was grim as he called for order. "The Shivan Collective has attacked 3 Council worlds," he announced. The room filled with shocked voices. "Bendari Prime, Lux 4, and Themis Colony are under heavy assault. The Shivans were dangerous beings from the outer rim. They shared one mind across many bodies. For 50 years, human peacekeepers had kept them contained. Now those peacekeepers were gone." Victoria Wilson, the human chief of Council security, stepped forward. Unlike Daryl Morris, who worked in monitoring, Victoria led the Council's defense forces. "We must respond with a united fleet," she said firmly. "I have prepared a defense plan based on previous human containment strategies." The Viridian fleet commander, Zorax, shook his head. "Your human tactics are outdated. My ships will handle this threat." Victoria tried to argue. "The Shivans adapt quickly. You need to use the rotating shield frequencies that—" "Enough!" Zorax cut her off. "We don't need human advice anymore." He turned to the Council. "My fleet will depart immediately." Victoria watched him leave. She knew what would happen, but no one would listen to her. The human voice in the Council had become almost meaningless. 3 days later, news of the battle reached the station. Zorax's fleet was destroyed. Over 30 ships lost. The Shivans had adapted to the Viridian weapons in minutes. Without the special containment technology that humans had developed, the Council forces had no way to stop them. The head counselor called another emergency meeting. "The Shivans have taken control of 5 systems now. They're moving faster than we expected." "We need human help," said an Etheri representative. "They knew how to fight the Shivans." "We've tried contacting them," the head counselor replied. "They still don't answer our messages." On Mars, Frank Bennett watched the Council's problems with interest. As the head of Bennett Quantum Industries, he had once supplied ships to half the galaxy. Now he focused only on human needs. "Another Council trade route has collapsed," his assistant told him, pointing to a report. "The Krell and Etheri are fighting over the remaining supply lines." Frank nodded. "Without our navigation systems and jump point maps, they're flying blind out there." "Some of our people feel bad about it," his assistant said. "The medical shortages are causing suffering among several species." Frank's face grew serious. "The medicines they need were developed and made by humans. They could have treated us with respect. Instead, they took our work and gave nothing back." He looked out his window at the busy Martian capital. New buildings reached to the sky. People moved with purpose and energy. In just 2 years, human space had changed dramatically. "We're better off alone," he said. "Look what we've achieved without the Council holding us back." His assistant nodded, but didn't seem fully convinced. "Director Powell is calling a meeting of the Alliance Assembly. The number of Council refugees at our barrier is growing. Some are asking for help." In the assembly chamber, Catherine Powell stood before the gathered leaders of human worlds. The room was divided. Some wanted to help the suffering Council species. Others wanted to keep the barrier closed forever. "We've received reports from our long-range scouts," Catherine began. "The Shivan attacks are worse than the Council is admitting. Millions of beings are fleeing. Some have reached our barrier." "Let them suffer," said one colony leader. They never helped us. We are not them, replied another. We should be better than that. Catherine raised her hand for quiet. We will vote tomorrow on whether to offer limited aid. For now, we maintain the barrier and our isolation. As the assembly dispersed, Dr. Julia Wright approached Catherine. You should see this, she said quietly, handing her a datapad. Catherine read the report and frowned. Are you sure? The scouts confirmed it. The Krell Imperium is pulling out of the council just like we did. Others may follow. Catherine wasn't surprised. The council is built on taking from others. Without humans to take from, they're turning on each other. In his office on the council station, Daryl Morris worked late into the night. He was building a record of the council's collapse. As both a historian and security officer, he saw patterns others missed. Computer, add today's events to the file, Fall of the Council, Year 2, he said. The computer displayed a long list of incidents. Council ships lost to navigation errors, planets suffering medical crises, species fighting over resources, and now the Shivan attacks. Daryl added his observation. The Council never developed its own solutions. They always relied on humans to solve their problems. Without us, they don't know how to work together. A soft alert sounded from his terminal. New data from the few remaining working beacons at the edge of Council space. Daryl checked the readings and felt a chill. Movement. Lots of it. Something was coming from deep space, from beyond the known galaxy. He sent a message to Victoria, the security chief. We need to check the outer rim. The beacons are picking up unusual activity. Her reply came quickly. Request denied. All ships are needed to fight the Shivans. Daryl slammed his fist on the desk in frustration. No one would listen. No one wanted to hear bad news from a human. Back in human space, the scientific advances continued at an amazing pace. In a high-security lab on Europa, Samantha Ross led a team working on the next breakthrough. The dimensional fold tests are successful, she told Catherine Powell during an inspection. We can now create small pocket universes, spaces that exist, outside normal spacetime. How small? Catherine asked. Currently, about the size of Earth's moon. But we're making progress. Soon we could create spaces large enough for entire colony worlds. Catherine was impressed. Unlimited room for expansion. No more fighting over planets. It's beyond anything the Council could imagine, Samantha agreed. 2 years without their restrictions and we've jumped ahead by centuries. As they talked, an urgent message came through. Catherine read it with growing concern. Our deep space sensors have detected something. A large fleet moving toward Council space. Shivans? Samantha asked. No, something else. Something from beyond the rim. Catherine's face was troubled. The old legends mention beings called the Arcsur, ancient enemies of all life in our galaxy. Just stories to scare children, Samantha said. Maybe not. If they're real and if they're coming. Catherine didn't finish. It's not our problem, Samantha reminded her. We left the Council. Yes, Catherine said slowly, but we didn't leave the galaxy. That night, as most humans slept peacefully behind their energy barrier, Catherine stayed awake. She watched the deep space readings with growing worry. If the Arcsur were real, if they were coming, the Council would fall easily. And after the Council, they would come for humanity next. 5 years had passed since humanity left the Galactic Council. The galaxy was no longer the same. The once mighty Council was falling apart piece by piece. In his small office, Daryl Morris updated his records. As both a security officer and historian, he kept track of each new disaster. Today he added another major event. The Krell Imperium had officially left the Council. Computer, note that the Krell are the 4th major species to leave in the past year, he said. Following humanity's example, they have decided to protect their own interests first. His screen showed a map of Council space. Large sections were now marked in different colors. The Aetheri Dominion and the Viridian Empire were fighting over the rich mining systems near the center. The Shivan Collective had taken almost a quarter of what was once Council territory. And now the Krell had taken their worlds and left. A message flashed on his screen. It was from Victoria Wilson, the human security chief. It read, "Urgent meeting, my office, now." When Daryl arrived, Victoria looked tired and worried. "The outer rim beacons are all dead now," she said without greeting. "But before the last one failed, it sent this." She showed him an image. Daryl's face went pale. Hundreds of ships, maybe thousands, moving in perfect formation. The design was like nothing he had ever seen. Sharp angles and dark metal. Weapons, unlike any known technology. "The Arxur," he whispered. Victoria nodded. "The ancient enemy. The stories were true." "Have you told the council?" "I tried. The head counselor is too busy dealing with the war between the Aetheri and Viridians," he said, and I quote, "Old legends are not our concern when we have real enemies to fight." Daryl shook his head in disbelief. "The Arxur were sealed away beyond the rim centuries ago. The oldest council records speak of a terrible war. If they're back, then the council is doomed," Victoria finished. "Without humanity's weapons and the United Fleet, they don't stand a chance." In human space, things were very different. Earth and its colonies had grown into a powerful alliance. Their cities shone with new technology. Their ships were faster and stronger than ever before. The energy barrier around their territory had been improved many times, now completely unbreakable from outside. In the capital city on Mars, Frank Bennett met with Director Catherine Powell. His company had just finished a new shipyard in orbit, around Jupiter. "The Judgment-class vessels are ready," he told her. 10 ships, each with enough firepower to destroy a small moon. Catherine looked impressed. "That fast? The designs were only approved 6 months ago." Frank smiled proudly. "Without council regulations slowing us down, we can build in weeks what used to take years." "Good. With what's coming, we may need them." Frank's smile faded. "You still think the Arxur are a threat to us? Our barrier will hold against anything." "The Arxur destroyed the ancient council at the height of its power," Catherine reminded him. "They were only stopped by the combined forces of every species in the galaxy. That was then. We're stronger now." "Perhaps. But I prefer to be prepared." Their meeting was interrupted by an urgent message. Catherine read it quickly. "The Arxur have attacked their first council world. Themis colony is gone. Not captured. Completely destroyed. The entire planet was broken apart." Frank's face showed shock. "How is that possible?" "Unknown. But our long-range sensors detected an energy pulse unlike anything we've ever seen." Catherine stood up. "Call the Alliance Assembly. They need to see this." In the council chamber, panic had replaced the usual political games. Representatives shouted over each other as reports of the Arxur attack spread. The head counselor banged his staff for order. "We must unite our forces. All ships must defend the core worlds. My people will not send ships while the Viridians attack our colonies," shouted the Aetheri ambassador. "The Shivans have taken 3 more of our systems," cried another representative. "We have no ships to spare." Daryl Morris watched from his place at the back of the room. He recorded everything in his history file. His latest entry read, "The Council is paying for centuries of forcing other species to solve their problems. Without humans to protect them, they have forgotten how to work together. They may not survive." Victoria Wilson entered the chamber and moved to Daryl's side. "It's worse than we thought," she said quietly. "The Arxur fleet is massive. Thousands of ships. And they're not just conquering, they're destroying everything in their path." "Have you tried contacting Earth again?" Daryl asked. Victoria nodded. "No response. The barrier is still up. They either don't know what's happening or they don't care," Daryl finished. But he was wrong. In the Alliance Assembly on Mars, Catherine Powell showed the footage of Themis colony's destruction. The room was silent as they watched a planet break into pieces. "The Arxur will not stop with council worlds," she told them. "Once the council falls, they will come for us next. Our barrier will protect us," someone said, but with less confidence than before. "For how long?" asked a colony leader. If they can break apart a planet, they can break our barrier. What do you suggest we do? Asked another. Help the council? After how they treated us? Catherine looked around the room. I suggest we vote. Do we stay hidden behind our barrier and hope the Arxur don't find us? Or do we use our new strength to help stop them? The debate lasted for hours. Some argued that humanity should worry only about itself. Others said that allowing the Arxur to destroy other species was wrong, no matter what the council had done in the past. In her lab on Europa, Dr. Samantha Ross watched the debate with interest. Her work on dimensional pocket universes was almost complete. In theory, all of humanity could hide in those spaces, unreachable by any enemy. But was running away the answer? She sent a message to Catherine. The dimensional fold technology can hide us all, but once we go, we may never be able to return. Is that really the legacy we want for humanity? As the assembly argued, a small ship approached the energy barrier around human space. It was damaged badly, barely moving. Inside were refugees from Themis colony, families who had escaped just before their world was destroyed. The ship sent desperate messages, begging for help. For 5 years, such messages had been ignored. But this time, something changed. Without orders, a human patrol ship moved to the barrier. The captain, John Reed, made a decision. He opened a small hole in the energy field and let the refugee ship through. As the frightened aliens stepped into the human station, Captain Reed sent a message to the Alliance Assembly. I've let them in. They have children with them. I couldn't turn them away. Punish me if you must, but first listen to their story. The refugees were brought to the assembly. They told of the horror they had witnessed. The Arxur ships appearing suddenly. The strange energy weapons. Their beautiful world cracking apart. One small child, a young Aetheri with blue feathers, stepped forward. My parents said humans were kind and clever. They said you helped people. Was that a lie? The room fell silent. Catherine? Powell looked at the child, then at the assembly members. That, she said quietly, is what we need to decide. 10 years had passed since humanity left the Galactic Council. Now in the Alliance Assembly on Mars, the leaders of human worlds faced their greatest test. Before them stood the small Aetheri child with blue feathers, waiting for an answer. President Eleanor Murphy rose from her seat. In the 10 years since the withdrawal, she had led humanity through its greatest period of growth. Now she faced its hardest choice. We were kind once, she said to the child. We helped others. We protected the weak. Then the council treated us poorly for too long, and we chose to look after ourselves instead. The child's eyes were sad. My world is gone. 7 more worlds are gone too. The Arxur destroy everything. Catherine Powell stepped forward with the latest reports. The Arxur fleet has broken through the last council defenses. They will reach the core worlds in 3 days. Billions of lives are at risk. Let the council deal with it, said a colony leader. They never helped us. The council cannot stop the Arxur, said Vice Admiral Paul Johnson. Their ships are too few and too weak. They fight among themselves even now. So we doom billions because of old grudges? Asked Ambassador Lisa Miller. What does that make us? The argument grew heated. Some wanted to help for moral reasons. Others wanted to fight because the Arxur would eventually threaten humanity too. Still others wanted to use the dimensional fold technology to hide in pocket universes forever. In the council chamber, panic had become despair. The head counselor looked at the reports with hollow eyes. 5 more worlds destroyed. The Viridian fleet crushed. The Aetheri colonies falling one by one. We should have listened to the humans, he said quietly to Victoria Wilson. We should have treated them as equals. It's too late for regrets, she replied. The Arxur will reach Centauri Prime in 3 days. You should evacuate. To where? No place is safe now. On Earth, humanity's original home, people watched the news with growing concern. They had enjoyed their independence. but many remembered when they were part of something larger, when they helped protect the galaxy, not just themselves. Back, in the assembly, President Murphy called for a final vote. We have three choices. We can stay behind our barrier and hope the Arxur ignore us. We can use Dr. Ross's technology to hide in pocket universes. Or we can fight. The vote was close. In the end, by a small margin, they chose to fight. Prepare the fleet, Murphy ordered. All ships, all weapons. We may have left the Council, but we are still part of this galaxy. Admiral Johnson moved quickly. The human fleet had grown powerful in 10 years of isolation. New ships, new weapons. The pride of the fleet was the 10 Judgment-class vessels, each more powerful than anything the galaxy had ever seen. What about the barrier? Catherine asked. If we lower it to send our ships out, we risk letting the Arxur in. President Murphy made her decision. The barrier stays up, but we create openings for our ships. We will take the fight to the Arxur before they reach us. As the human fleet prepared, a desperate council ship approached the barrier. Unlike the refugee ship before, this one carried important passengers, council leaders fleeing the Arxur advance. The ship was allowed through a small opening. The head counselor himself stepped onto human soil for the first time in a decade. His purple skin had faded with age and worry. I come to beg for your help, he said to President Murphy. Not for myself, but for the billions of innocent beings who face destruction. We've already decided to fight, she told him. Not for the Council, but for all life in the galaxy. The head counselor bowed his head. We were wrong about humans. We never understood your true strength. 3 days later, the Arxur fleet reached Centauri Prime, home of the Council headquarters. They expected an easy victory. What they found instead was the human fleet waiting for them. Admiral Johnson stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Guardian. All ships in position, barrier openings sealing behind us. We're committed now. The battle began. The Arxur ships were powerful and strange. Their weapons could crack planets. But they had never faced humanity at its full strength. The Judgment-class vessels moved forward first. Their quantum weapons tore through the Arxur shields like they were paper. The smaller human ships darted between the enemy vessels, targeting weak points that human scientists had identified. The Arxur, used to easy victories, found themselves facing an enemy they couldn't easily destroy. They adjusted their tactics, focusing all fire on one Judgment vessel. It exploded in a flash of light. Keep pressing, Admiral Johnson ordered. Don't give them time to adapt. The battle raged for hours. 3 more Judgment vessels were lost. Hundreds of smaller ships destroyed, but the Arxur losses were greater. Their formation broke. For the first time in their campaign, they began to retreat. They're pulling back, reported a sensor officer, regrouping at the edge of the system. We've hurt them, Johnson said, but they'll be back with more ships. On Mars, President Murphy received the news of the first victory with mixed feelings. They had won the battle, but at great cost. And the war was just beginning. She met with the head counselor again. Your people should prepare to fight alongside us, she told him. We can provide weapons and ships, but we need your people to help crew them. After all we did to you, you would still arm us? This isn't about the past, it's about surviving the future. The head counselor agreed. For the first time, humans would not serve the Council. They would lead it. As news of the human victory spread, hope returned to the galaxy. Species that had been fighting each other now prepared to stand together against the Arxur. Even the Shivans, sensing a greater threat, agreed to a truce. On his ship, Admiral Johnson prepared for the next battle. The Arxur will return with a larger fleet. We need to be ready. Will we win? Asked a young officer. Johnson looked out at the stars. I don't know, but humanity didn't become strong by running from fights we might lose. On Earth, in the old United Nations building that had once housed humanity's first steps toward unity, President Murphy addressed her people. 10 years ago, we left the Galactic Council because they failed to respect us. Today, we return to the galactic community not as servants, but as leaders. Not because the Council deserves our help, but because it's the right thing to do. She paused, looking at the faces watching her from across human space. The Arxer believe they can break the galaxy apart. They're wrong. They have no idea what humans do when faced with impossible odds. We don't break. We don't run. We fight. And with the galaxy finally standing united behind us, we will win. As her words spread across human worlds, ships began to launch. Though a barrier separating humanity from the rest of the galaxy flickered and fell. After 10 years of isolation, humans stepped back onto the galactic stage, and this time, they would not be ignored.